Welcome friends, great to be with you for Granny's GodPod number 23. I'm going to talk about something I don't think I'm very good at, but it only took 12. Isn't it amazing to see how far the belief in the risen Christ has spread from its beginnings with the 12 men who began his church, the 12 apostles who turned the world upside down? If the resurrection seems unbelievable to many nowadays, they should ask what else could have turned 12 disheartened men huddled together and scared of the Jews into preachers who were prepared to be martyred for what they had witnessed. You don't live a life of hardship and die for a lie. Even skeptics will admit that the disciples really believed they had seen Jesus alive again, even if they themselves do not accept a bodily resurrection. Peter tells us, always be prepared to give an answer to anyone who asks you the reason for the hope that you have. Professor John Lennox reputedly said as a young man, "How can I give an answer if nobody asks?" There are ways we can help people to ask. First, we could wear a cross in some way, perhaps in jewellery or printed on a t-shirt, or a fish lapel pin may start a conversation. Secondly, there is reading a Bible openly, for instance on a train or plane journey. It can also help to have a couple of Gospels to give away. Other recent suggestions I have heard are to say, "On Sunday I went to church," when asked what you did at the weekend. Or, "I didn't watch such and such TV programme last night because I had a Bible study meeting." Then again, if someone says to you, "Isn't it a beautiful day?" you could reply, "Yes, isn't God good?" and see what happens. But don't worry if it doesn't lead anywhere, just move on. Unless God has prepared someone's ears, they won't hear you. I am not suggesting for a moment that it is easy being a witness for the faith. I have been called silly for believing. But Jesus said, "If the people of this world hate you, just remember they hated me first." But in comparison to the suffering of Jesus on the cross that he went through for us, should any earthly ridicule really be enough to silence us? Should we as a church accommodate worldly changes, or should we stand out from the crowd? The prophets didn't have a problem for being nice. They had a problem for telling the truth. And sometimes people will not like the truth. Martin Iles, who has a ministry and YouTube channel called The Truth of It, says Jesus tells us to keep going, continue to be salt, and continue to be light. Salt loses its taste when the environment seeps into it, the water, the moisture gets in. The salt metaphor says that we shouldn't change to our environment, nor compromise to the world around us, because it is the difference that makes a difference. We need to stay tasty, stay uncompromised in a world that is putrefying. He says we need to take sin seriously, and quotes the 17th century theologian John Owen. "Be killing sin, or it will be killing you." One tip Martin's father gave him was to look back 12 months. And if, as a Christian, you have not grown, then you are not on a good path and you need to change. Martin says we can't have secret sins. Look at Solomon. He began with such promise, but one negative thing was that he loved foreign women, and that became his downfall, the thing that took him away from God. Secret sins will get you. We need to take this seriously so that God can use us as his salt in a world that is going bad. For light, The metaphor is visibility. Light is not hidden under a basket. Martin says just start somewhere. Pray for the opportunity to witness, because it will happen. One of the roles of the Holy Spirit is to work as an enabler, and he can enable you to be asked questions. People are not born with the ability to witness, but like the apostles, we all have the Holy Spirit to strengthen us and give us the words to speak to others about our faith. And the more you do it, the better you will be at it, says Martin. Gregory Kukl, in his book Tactics, says, don't set yourself too high expectations. Don't be afraid, first of all, to admit that you don't know an answer, but be prepared to find out. And don't feel that you have to justify everything. You can always ask for clarification before answering a question or a statement. For example, what do you mean by that? Or, and your point is? Asking questions before you try to answer not only gives you time to think, but may show up some flawed thinking. Asking questions is also less confrontational in pointing out errors. For example, have you thought of it this way? Or, maybe I'm missing something here. Gregory says we are not all going to close the deal, but we can all plant a thought or idea that might flourish later with God's care. It can take many years for everything to come together before a person is ready to commit. Gregory also suggests we adapt our language for non-believers. He uses the word trust instead of faith, the words follower of Jesus instead of Christian. Quotes the words of the ancient Jewish prophets instead of the Old Testament. The words of Jesus of Nazareth instead of Gospels, and those Jesus trained to take his message after him for the rest of the New Testament. Above all, he says, stay calm and don't let them go away empty-handed. He recommends a gift of the Gospel of John. I've also heard the suggestion that if you have a Muslim neighbour, try giving one of those large bars of chocolate wrapped up with a Bible. It would be rude to refuse. May God bless your efforts as you remember the efforts of the 12. Thanks for listening. Please like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you again for the next one. Bye now.